You know, in a world that feels like it's fracturing, where all these geopolitical tensions are basically rewriting the economic rulebook, there's one massive country that seems to be on a totally different path. While so many are facing some serious headwinds, India's economy is actually hitting the accelerator. So, what is going on? What's the secret behind this resilience? Let's dive in.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to set the scene, talk about this new global playbook called economic statecraft. Then we'll zoom right into India's powerhouse of a domestic growth engine. After that, we'll pop the hood and check the economic vitals that are keeping everything so stable. And finally, we'll look ahead and ask why so many experts think India is just getting started on a whole new, higher growth path.
So, to really appreciate India's story, you first have to understand the turbulent waters it's navigating. The global stage today, it's a whole new ballgame. It's defined by this really fierce new kind of competition. You've probably felt it, right? There's just this sense that the global economy is way more unpredictable than it used to be. You hear about supply chain chaos one day, new trade disputes the next. It feels like the old rules just don't apply anymore. So what's the deal? Now this right here, this shows a really fascinating split in the global story. Yeah, the economic storm kind of hit everyone, but the recovery? It's a tale of two completely different worlds. You can see how the advanced economies are, slowly getting back up, but the emerging economies are just blasting back with surprising strength. This resilience is a theme we're going to keep coming back to. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial concept, economic statecraft. Look, this is not your grandpa's economics. We're talking about countries literally weaponizing their economies. They're using everything, trade deals, sanctions, investments, like chess pieces in a high-stakes global power game. The very things that used to connect us are now seen as vulnerabilities. And this quote just nails it. Think of the global economy like tectonic plates. When they move together, it's all good, it's stable. But right now, you've got some nations pushing ahead with these massive trade surpluses, while others are falling behind with huge deficits. That creates this immense pressure, and we're all starting to see the cracks form. And this isn't just some abstract theory. This is happening right now as we speak. The US is blocking China from getting high-tech chips. China's squeezing the world's supply of critical minerals. The EU is using climate tariffs to force other countries' hands. This is economic statecraft, live and in color. So, amidst this global economic battlefield, there's a totally different story playing out. Let's shift our focus now to India, where the story isn't about external chaos, but about incredible internal strength. And boom, here it is, the headline number, a staggering 7.4% real GDP growth. This isn't just good. This officially makes India the fastest growing major economy in the world for the fourth year in a row. That's some serious momentum. So, what's fueling this rocket ship? This chart tells you everything. Look at this. Over 90% of India's economic activity is powered from within, by its own people buying things and its own companies investing. This is not an export story. It's a story of pure domestic power. And these internal engines, man, they are roaring. Both the spending by everyday people and the investment by businesses are surging. And they're not just getting back to normal, they're actually blowing past the pre-pandemic trends. This isn't a bounce back. This feels more like a fundamental upgrade. So you have these two totally different realities, right? On one side, you have countries that are like ships being tossed around on these stormy seas of global trade. And on the other, you have India, which is more like a giant, deeply rooted tree, drawing all its strength from its own soil. That internal anchor is its ultimate shield in a crazy world. But look, this kind of performance, it doesn't just happen by accident. It has to be built on a rock-solid foundation. So let's do a quick health check. Let's look at the key vitals that are making all this possible. First up, a huge sigh of relief for everyone on the inflation front. With prices finally cooling off, especially for food, people's money just goes further. And that extra spending power, it's like a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of the consumer spending that's driving so much of this growth. Okay, now check this out. This might look a bit technical, but the story here is really simple. This is basically a report card from the world's biggest investors, and what they're saying is that they see India as a much safer, more stable bet than before. It's a massive vote of confidence in how the country's finances are being managed. And the good news just keeps rolling in. The banks are healthier than they've been in decades. Bad loans are at a record low. The trade deficit is totally under control. They've got a huge cushion of foreign currency reserves, and the job market is steadily getting better. You see the pattern here? All the fundamentals are looking strong. Which brings us to our final, and maybe the most exciting part of this whole story. What if this isn't just a temporary hot streak? What if all the reforms and all the hard work have actually fundamentally rewired India's economic engine for a whole new era of growth?
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? We've seen all these incredible numbers, but is it just a short-term high? Or has India actually unlocked a new, higher level of economic potential for the long haul?
Well, the evidence seems to point to a resounding yes. Experts are now saying that India's potential growth rate, kind of like its economic speed limit, has been upgraded to 7%. Now, that might not sound like a huge jump, but in the world of economics, trust me, that is a massive deal.
So how'd they do it? Well, it boils down to this powerful mix of three key things. One, more and better capital. More investment in the tools and infrastructure for the future. Two, more and better labor, a bigger, more skilled workforce. And three, a huge leap in productivity, mostly thanks to this digital revolution that's making the entire economy work smarter and faster.
And this table just kind of puts some numbers behind that story. You can see there's no single magic bullet here. It's the combined power of keeping investment steady, getting a little more out of the workforce, and solid productivity gains. All that together is what lifts India's potential to a whole new level.
And this is where the strategy becomes really, really smart. It's not just about building a strong defense against global shocks anymore. The new endgame seems to be becoming so critical, so essential to the global economy that, well, the world can't really function without you.
And that brings us right back to where we started. In a world where economic tools are the new weapons, maybe the best defense isn't a bigger shield. Maybe it's becoming so important to everyone else that you're just not a good target. Is India on the path to building that ultimate strategic advantage? That is a question really worth thinking about.